Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Medical Myths, this show about what not to do with your body. And you may notice that I am the only one on screen, but there is another name on there because I have somebody in studio with me, and it's Johnathan.
Hi, it's me. I do things. How's everybody doing?
I don't know if they can. Everybody say hi. Oh, it's a Ben. It is a Ben.
It is, in fact, a Ben. Hi, Ben.
It's a Ben. Hi, Johnathan. We're in the same place, and I want to share a little bit about why we're in the same place because we need to celebrate people who do awesome things, and somebody did an awesome thing, and that's why they're
I had
here.
a chimichanga.
We had chimichangas. Yes. We did do that. We're a little sleepy because we just ate chimichangas, but something else that's bigger than that
I got to see Phoenix.
Well, besides that, what else did you do?
I nearly lost my bags with the airline. Okay.
Yes, all of that happened. Johnathan does not want
my master's.
Yeah, that's small detail. Johnathan got their master's this week and specifically today, and that's a big accomplishment. So everybody, you should congratulate them in the comments and just all over social media because this is a huge deal. But naturally, here, do you want to get more on the camera?
I'll get on.
We're in a tight space.
We are. It's okay.
But it's cozy. So we figure we're going to have a show together while we're in the same place, and having somebody who has a master's degree in business.
Yes.
We should talk about business today a little bit. And
because there's a huge business side to all this pseudoscience shit that's often missed. You often hear these pseudoscience people saying, well, I mean, it's the medical people who are out, the mainstream Western medical people who are out to make a huge buck off you and shit like that. And in fact, they're paying like $300 a visit, $50 for some distilled water, some homeopathic raptor urine, I think is the term I used last time.
Yeah. So there's somebody, especially in the media right now, that I think that we can focus more on the business side because we all know that they're problematic. And this person is Dr. Oz. We're going to talk about Dr. Oz today because we know he's a problem. Everyone pretty much knows he is a problem.
He knows he's a problem.
He knows he's a problem.
He knows he's a problem. It's why he's changed tactics here since he started running for shit. What's he running for?
He's running for Congress.
Dr. Oz, a known grifter / snake oil salesman, is running for Congress.
Yep. And so we're going to watch a little bit of his previous videos back when he was a very outspoken snake oil salesman. And then we'll compare that to now in his new tactics where he's had to be more subtle because people caught on to him. And I even looked at most of, if you even search Dr. Oz, and you'll find some academic articles about this man and the problems that he has caused within the healthcare industry and the distrust that he's sowed within the field. And people caught on to it. So
he has / is hurting people.
Yes. Some things that he has peddled in the past include homeopathy. He's peddled Reiki. He's peddled mediums. Like he had a whole episode about relieving your anxiety by talking to dead people. There was a whole episode on that. I think one of the more common ones is his miracle weight loss supplements, which we'll watch that video because that's dishonest.
Isn't that the one that makes you sort of almost shit yourself to death? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Yeah, and we'll talk about that because it's something. So
there are more tasty ways to end up, having to poop a lot.
Yeah. We'll talk about how much fiber is in each of those supplements. But I think since many people here know who Dr. Oz is, I think we'll start off with the worst part of all of this, and that is the fact that he is running for Congress. So let's look at his campaign a little bit, and then Johnathan can fill us in on the tactics used, the marketing used, and see where this goes. So let me share the screen here. So this is the campaign page. So we have America's Doctor, Our Senator. And he is, of course, running on a conservative platform. So it says Dr. Oz is the host of the Emmy Award-winning The Dr. Oz Show and is an attending physician at NY Presbyterian Columbia Medical Center. He has performed thousands of heart operations and has practiced medicine simultaneously with his TV show. He lives. He can dox him.
I mean, it's on his.
It's on his page.
It's on his page, but conservatives get weird about people saying where they live after they've said where they live.
Yeah, with his wife. Together, they've raised. I don't need to say all that.
Yeah, for one thing, it's not relevant.
It's not relevant.
That's there to tell you that he's a family man with commitments. It's to cement him as a right-wing thing, because that's the right wing's big thing here since forever, is convincing you they're the party of traditional family values.
Yes.
Which they're struggling with that right now, given that they're the party that's trying to.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, that's a whole ass different thing. But I mean, look up here. It says he's an Emmy Award-winning thing. What did it win an Emmy Award for? Do you know?
Probably his show.
Like, I get that it's his show,
but I don't know.
Are Emmys like other awards, and that they're granted for specific things? I don't know that.
I mean, I don't know much about him, but
I mean, they're not really relevant to how good a politician he would be.
Oh no, none of this is relevant to how good of a politician he would be. And in fact, he's running on essentially, like, this is all kind of an appeal to authority, saying that he's this doctor, he's specifically this heart surgeon, which he is. He's a heart surgeon.
Yeah.
But that's nothing relevant to politics. It's not relevant to policy. It's not relevant to him even practicing medicine, because, I mean, heart surgery is a very narrow specialty of medicine. He knows one thing very well, and he is really only credible for that one area. Sure, if you asked him about, guidelines for heart surgeries, protocols for heart surgery, he'd probably be able to give you some good answers. But the problem is, you take somebody like that out of their comfort zone. You cannot throw this person into infectious disease and assume that they're going to do well. He's not board certified.
He's presented himself as an expert on COVID in a lot of situations.
And he's going to do that here later.
I hate that.
That's a big part of his platform is COVID.
But he's not an epidemiologist.
He's not an epidemiologist.
I mean, as a heart surgeon, he doesn't work on people who would have these diseases.
No, because if you are sick, you're not getting your surgery until you're better.
Yeah, you got to get better. I mean, so what experience does he have besides saying, okay, well, hold off?
He doesn't. He is not credible on this. So he's using this appeal, but the common public, they're not going to know the difference between, because people just assume that surgeons are the smartest of the smart, and sure, they get very high board scores, but even I have some arguments against that being a metric for being a good physician, because some of the smartest in terms of medical diagnosis are in internal medicine, in family medicine, in these specialties that require a lot of outside the box thinking styles. And these surgeons, they're taught a very inside the box thinking style. They have their procedures. They follow them a very specific way.
I don't think you need to be getting creative when you're cutting up people.
No, you shouldn't. And because of the risk involved, you don't have wiggle room. You need to do something the right way or you're getting sued. I mean, like, you have similar guidelines within hospital medicine, but there's a lot more wiggle room with physiology. If you have a good basis for making the decision you're making, you can go outside the guidelines, but that's different. Someone with pneumonia versus someone getting heart surgery. There's a different level at stake, but at the same time, that means that there's less outside of his scope that he needs to know.
Well, as a surgeon, you don't have a lot of time to react to a mistake.
No, and there are very predictable mistakes. Like, the things that are going to happen are predictable in a surgical scenario. They're less predictable when you are hospitalized for like 8 or 9 different medical conditions. Like, you have kidney failure, and you have heart failure, and you have an infection, and you have HIV. Like, those things all stack up on each other in weird ways that you have to get creative. Someone that complicated is not going to get a surgery unless they're immediately dying.
Right.
So the stakes are different and the decision-making thought process is different, but people who haven't been through the process wouldn't know that there is a difference and that he's not qualified.
And I mean, throwing this out there, as a surgeon, isn't he sort of like fulfilling the requests of other doctors as to what needs to happen? Is that my
I mean, he
that?
gets to make his call on who gets surgery and who doesn't.
Right.
But even then, like, he doesn't get to give people a clearance for surgery.
Yeah,
he has to get second opinions for who can.
He's not a primary care physician.
Oh no.
He's not.
Oh no, he's not. No.
They're not going to go directly to him.
Yeah, and this is a good point here.
Oh, you're
difficult to see on the camera.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me.
Can
you?
Yeah, it's okay. Over. You can make it.
All right.
I'll scoot back. That's fine. We fit.
I'm going to borrow your armrest. That'll make it work better.
Okay, that's fine. But yeah, Rand Paul and Ben Carson are similar examples to this, where Rand Paul is an ophthalmologist and Ben Carson's a neurosurgeon. They're very specialized. They don't know much beyond that. They're taught their thing. And they think that they can persuade people. And in fact, they can persuade people. We know that this is persuasive. But they're not experts on that. So don't pretend that they are. Don't let them think that they are, because they're not.
Sassy Pants has a point too. Yeah. And it's sad to talk about, and I don't like being elitist when it comes to education. But like, especially in the area I live in Alabama, it's a very impoverished area that regularly ranks 50th in the nation in education, swapping back and forth with the Mississippi for 49th. And people are sorely lacking in critical thinking skills there. It's scary sometimes.
Yeah. So let's look a bit more at his. So he says, the right medicine. Dr. Oz has never shied away from telling his patients and audience that you are the key to solving many of your problems. He's taking his message of empowerment, personal responsibility, and freedom with him to campaign for the U.S. Senate to represent the people of Pennsylvania. Dr. Oz has seen firsthand the goal of liberal elites and establishment to make your life decisions for you and cancel you if you disagree. Yeah, so
there's so much to unpack.
There's so much.
Like even just the title, The Right Medicine. It's there to convince you that he has some authority on this. It's there to sort of tie it in together and give you a misapplication of his authority to something that's not remotely within his wheelhouse. And the discussion of liberal elites out to cancel him, that's sort of like a preemptive strike against the people like you and me. I like to think we're part of the but that's a strike against people like you and me, a preemptive strike saying, you can't trust these people. They're trying to cancel us, which is a common defense mechanism, right? To just go ahead and do that and talk about that.
Well, and think about this. This is, it's a seemingly good tactic. You have this doctor who says, yeah, these other people are trying to just tell you what to do with your body. They don't want you to make your own decisions. And it's people just trying to take control of you. But it's funny because he's saying this as if he wants people to take agency for themselves. But at the same time is playing this authority figure of his own and saying that he should make decisions on your behalf, but these other people shouldn't because he's credible and they're not. So it's not really offering them agency. It's him being the agent, but you thinking that you're the agent.
Well, a lot of right-wing talking points are getting you to the conclusion they have.
Absolutely. Yeah, and cancel you if you disagree. Yeah.
Well, because quite frankly, a lot of their talking points that they don't say out loud are fascistic and incredibly dangerous, and publicly recognize this. So, and even the less than average person can recognize a lot of that if it's said directly. But if it's not said directly, not so much.
Okay, So, Pennsylvania has seen the consequences of this failed leadership. Policies out of Washington take away your ability to earn a living, walk safely down the street at night, and leave the future of your family less certain than it has ever been before. Feckless leadership in Congress means we have representatives who are more afraid of being canceled and more interested in winning re-election than bravely challenging orthodoxy. That is exactly why Dr. Oz is running, to return power to you.
Okay, so let's, especially this walk safely down the street at night. That is such a conservative buzz phrase, just about everything, talking about the increase in violence, when in fact we know statistically there has been a steady decrease in violence in the United States since the 80s, and it has continued and is continuing.
Mhm.
Even keeping in mind school shootings and stuff like that, violent crimes are at an all-time low and continue to be so. And what they're really talking about when they mention something like this is, quite frankly, minorities living in the same places as you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, this is a racist dog whistle. That's
Yep.
what he's doing. And again, going back to blaming other people and saying that they aren't doing the right thing for you, but I will, like, because he wants you to think that you're empowered, because he's saying to return power to you. He doesn't want to return power to you. He wants your money in his pocket. And this thing,
I don't even know if he wants the actual election. Like, I don't know if he actually wants the position or if this is a Trump-style grift to get money in his pockets.
Yeah, and the idea of challenging orthodoxy, this idea that it's been orthodox to be so progressive when we know that, like, the Conservative Party is the orthodoxy here. Like, they are who were in power already. They're the people who already were, like, their desires already have been reality for a long time, and now they're finally being questioned, and we're trying to move away from that. And somehow they're switching the script to saying that the progressive movement is orthodoxy, and they're trying to keep you in this, like, primitive state of thinking, and you need to get out of it by going back to these historical ways of thinking. It's an interesting script he's got here. It's a very circular script too. So here we have his reasons why you should listen to him, and it all comes down to he's published some stuff.
He's popular.
He is very popular.
Argumentum ad.
Yes.
Dr. Oz has authored over 350 original publications, written 8 New York Times bestsellers, and received numerous patents. I like how there's not a number for that one.
Yeah, just
for
numerous.
Developing medical devices that have saved countless lives.
Which ones?
Yeah. Which medical devices? Which patents? Like,
and which papers?
Like, Elon Musk has some patents, but it's technically for like a charging port on a Tesla that's proprietary and keeps you from using anyone else's. You can have a patent on a medical device that has saved lives. That's not really special. So, right. The ambiguous phrasing of this has me convinced that they wanted an extra thing in this sentence.
Yeah, he's trying to build credibility.
It's an attempt to build credibility, but the phraseology of it is so off to me that it's ambiguous enough. I'm thinking it's not actually that special.
Oh, probably
well,
not.
And not to mention the other stuff in there, if you actually take a moment and think about it, just amounts to, hey, I've written a lot, and some of my things have been popular.
Yep, he doesn't.
Which is not a good reason to listen to somebody.
Yep. Yeah, because he also doesn't say where these publications were. Are they journal publications? What journals took them? What subjects were they on? Was he even first author? He could technically include anything that he has authored in this. He could be last author. Not saying that it's bad to have last authorships, but like
he's trying to gain some clout with the reader.
He's exaggerating. He's probably exaggerating his qualifications. And he goes on to talk about his show and being featured on the Oprah Winfrey Show, which the things that he has said on Oprah's show are probably some of the worst things that he has ever said on TV.
Well, because it was sort of an attention grab back then.
Yeah.
It was about saying something that would grab your attention, would keep you in your seat. Like, it wasn't about responsible medicine then. It was about entertainment. Holy shit, is the infotainment industry dangerous as fuck.
Yeah. So then they talk about how he graduated from Harvard and obtained a joint MD and MBA from University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine and Wharton Business School. So, I mean, this tells us a lot. The fact that he went into medical school knowing that he was going to also get a business degree, and that's not an inherently bad thing.
I mean, as a medical professional, you should have some knowledge. You and I were talking about this earlier, where I highly recommend having some level of business knowledge, especially if you're going into private practice, because if you don't, you will have an office manager who will embezzle from you. And that's I will flat out call that a guarantee. If you don't have baseline business knowledge, you will have money disappear.
And it's a good point to get an MBA. If you know that you want to have a private practice and you want to do a lot of that management on your own, sure. It's fine to get a degree in business. That could help you.
Yeah, but this guy's
clearly used his degree.
Wanted to market himself with his degree. That was the point of it. That was the point of the doctorate.
So, for somebody who is not a business person, someone like me or anyone in the audience, what kind of things do you think he would learn from this MBA, and how does it contribute to his growth over the past several years as a public figure?
Well, speaking personally, my master's is not technically a master's in business administration. My master's is in business leadership. It's more about recognizing the unique qualities of people and helping them develop them, and also sort of tying people into different roles and stuff like that. It's a project manager role more than anything else. A business administration sort of thing, you would be taking a look at accounting, especially. Accounting would be a high feature of it. There's a lot of overlap between my degree and a business administration degree, but just really, it's the typical stuff you would expect from business, which is, journal entries, which are for the money, and being able to use formulas to calculate business health and stuff like that. Like, something like this would be very useful if you were running such a shady business that you couldn't get an account. And that is not in general an accusation towards people who get MBAs. It is an accusation towards Dr. Oz.
Fair enough.
I will throw some shade at him.
Yeah, we're getting some comments in the chat about that they hope that he would be able to carve a pumpkin better than that.
Did he do that pumpkin?
I don't know. Somebody did that pumpkin.
Somebody did that pumpkin dirty.
Yeah.
I hope it was one of the kids.
It's that. Look at how not innocent she looks.
I'm not going to make jokes about someone's kid.
Yeah.
I'm going to back off on that. For the record, though, you shouldn't be using pictures of your kids in campaign. Like, it's weird. It is weird. Because we got this idea that politicians' children are off limits, but if that's the case, they need to be off limits entirely for campaign.
All right, so here's his platform in terms of the issues. So we got the credibility builder out of the way, so here's what he actually wants to do. Politicians in both parties have failed to provide a vision for America that is worthy of the people they seek to represent.
I mean, I agree with the statement, but I definitely don't agree with him.
Yeah. They're too focused on their own re-elections or platitudes rather than offering cures to America's sickness. Surgeons keep their priorities straight and always protect their patients first with competent delivery of the best approaches.
Oh, dang, it's tying this in again.
He's tying this into surgery.
And this is that marketing thing we were talking about. Marketing himself as He's Rorschach.
Yeah.
He's Rorschach from Watchmen.
That's something else that, like, again, if you really want to be accurate with your comparisons, you know what else surgeons don't do? They don't go outside their lane. They stay in their fucking lane.
Yeah.
And he's not doing that.
Yeah. Dr. Oz seeks to rebuild the middle layers of society, institutions like family and community. There's that dog whistling. Because we can talk about middle class without family and community. Really, that's just saying, I don't want queer or brown people around me.
Pretty much.
That have been hollowed out by failed policies, narrow thinking, and toxic culture wars. He knows that no government can substitute for the dignity of work, the security of health.
Whoa.
What the fuck? And the spiritual support of family. So let's talk about things. Can I recommend a channel on your channel? Is that cool?
Yeah.
Cody Johnston of Some More News has a video called, I think it's A Brief History of Work, where he talks about work. But the idea of work supposedly having some dignity behind it is a fairly modern thing. In the 16th, 17th, and 18th centuries, before the Industrial Revolution, it was not uncommon for families to work a few weeks to a couple months, have enough money to live for the year, and then just not work because they didn't tie up their sense of self-worth in working. Yeah. And they focused on producing art and enjoying themselves, and that sort of thing. You know, things that actually make a difference to your mental and physical well-being. So as somebody with a master's in business, I'll just go ahead and say it. There is no inherent dignity in work. I have scrubbed toilets most of my life in my work. And I'll go ahead and say there's not any dignity in it. But the second thing he says, the security of healthcare. Like, what the fuck does he even mean by that? Because I know he's not pushing for like a Medicare for all or anything. Like we don't have security of healthcare in this country. We are constantly one medical emergency away from all of us.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's scary. But the spiritual support of our family is absolute hog shit. That is such a meaningless phrase that, okay, in all honesty, isn't there to mean something deliberate, but is there as a sort of there to encourage Christians to vote for him. Oh, definitely. He's trying to get that demographic without directly stating that he supports that.
Yeah, and the security of healthcare thing definitely would make more sense if he was running on a platform for universal healthcare. I think someone like Dr. Oz, if he was a more ethical person, like he would be so successful even running on a platform. I mean, okay, let me correct that, because with his history, he wouldn't be able to, because he's known for being a snake oil salesman.
He's a fucking grifter.
But for anyone who is a healthcare professional, you could be very successful in running on a universal healthcare platform. You could do very well in that. But of course, he's too far into his own grave with the weird things that he said on TV before, and the fact that he knows he's not trusted by people who read into this stuff. He has some people that like what he does who don't fact check. And so he needs to make sure that he keeps his audience as those who don't fact check. And so who's he going to try to reach? These people of these religious institutions and these people who don't support
the parents and grandparents who told us not to trust everything we read on the internet. And then went on to trust this guy because he's on TV.
Yeah. So it all starts with you. Dr. Oz has advocated for decades that we, the people, are empowered to change our lives for the better. We can recognize as a nation that the choices we make about what we eat affect the cost of our health care. This sounds like victim blaming.
Okay, throwing this out there, there is a certain component to eating well and having a better life expectancy. But there is also a correlation between eating well and having fucking money.
Right? Like, what's probably the most common factor involved in people who have chronic illness and people who have like these comorbidities.
I remember fucking couch surfing when I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
Early to mid 20s. And people would ask how I was doing, and I would tell them, I have my beans and rice. And what I literally meant was, I have food that is sort of okay that won't lead to me starving to death.
Yeah.
And just.
Yeah. One of the most common denominators for health issues is poverty.
Yeah. And we don't talk about that enough. But, this is a man who's not suffered a day in his life, not in any meaningful way.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand this.
Well, and something to consider as well. Dr. Oz did not get to where he is on his own.
No.
He is not a first generation med school graduate. He has his family, I think his father was also a surgeon.
Yep.
He had money going into this. He had someone paying his way through medical school, and even thinking about people who do well in medical school, and especially in these surgical programs. The majority of people in these very competitive specialties are rich. They have money, and because they had the ability to buy these extra resources. They had the ability to get private tutoring.
They didn't have to have jobs in high school.
Yeah, they didn't have jobs in high school, no jobs in college. Like, they had a way to prioritize just their school.
Yes.
And they had someone who went on the path before them who could tell them every step they needed and how to be competitive and then pay for it. Most of us don't have that. So
look how much sacrifice you and I have both had to make to be able to do college.
Yeah.
Like, I went into the Navy. Like, I busted my ass for 5 years to be able to do that. Oh, that stings. That stings a little bit,
The elitism of this man.
Yes, this man complains about the liberal elites, but was born with a silver enema in his asshole, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, so we're empowered to change our lives, but you know what?
You know what empowers people to change their lives? Fucking money.
Not being in poverty.
Yes.
Having access to healthcare, having access to basic standards of living. That goes a long way. And even when I worked in EMS, one of the common issues we ran into was people declining a trip to the hospital because they knew, number one, they couldn't pay for the hospital visit, but they also couldn't pay for the ambulance. So even if someone needed it, like they needed to go, they would refuse, because if you have to make the choice between your own healthcare and feeding your children, I think most parents that I know would choose to feed their children. And so you're condemning yourself for not even the guarantee that your kids are going to do well, but for the hope that your kids are going to do well.
And it's a gamble. It's a gamble being poor is a gamble every single day of your fucking life. It is a gamble with your future. It is a gamble with your children's future. It is fucking terrifying to be poor in this country, because you do not know when the next thing is going to happen that will leave you just ruined.
This is victim blaming. Like, the system that has set people up to fail. Like, it has guaranteed people to fail. And he's saying that their problem was that they didn't work hard enough. This person who had it all laid out for him, saying that these other people didn't work hard enough.
This person who has, quite frankly, never had to make a sacrifice in his life.
It's absolutely disgusting.
And I guarantee you, he has something in his life that he thinks is a sacrifice. That you and I would both laugh at.
Oh, it would be standard.
Because every person in this position, every person in this privileged fucking senator running doctor asshole position thinks that they know what sacrifice is. They think they know what hard work means.
Oh, yeah.
And quite frankly, they don't.
Yeah. No idea.
Because when you're poor, often you will recognize that there are situations where your hard work doesn't. But rich people are not in a position to recognize that ever.
Yeah, I'd like to see Oz have to choose between meds and food every day like I do every month. I couldn't afford my angina meds this month, so I'll just live with the chest pain, but at least I can eat.
Drew, I am so sorry. That's terrible.
You should not have to go through that. You should not have to choose that.
And we need to be working as a country, not as just individuals, because systematic change can't happen on the individual level. It can't. It's not going to. But we need to work together as a country to stop that from
happening. Yeah, and he's making it seem like it's such a good thing, but
yeah, when is he ever going to have to ration his insulin?
Right? Never.
Yeah. They talk about sacrifices, these elites, when they talk about this, but what they're talking about is, not going to Paris for the summer or some shit. Like, that's the kind of sacrifice they talk about when times are tough.
Well, if you just didn't eat avocado toast sometimes, you could afford a house.
I gave up avocado toast. I didn't even like it.
Well, you should be able to afford a house then.
Yeah, I should be able. Maybe it's the monsters.
The
monster habit that I developed when I was working construction and having 2 jobs a day.
Yeah,
and is probably actually bad for my heart and shit because I worked myself half to death.
As we're both drinking arrhythmia juice here.
Yeah, arrhythmia juice.
But so being the business person, if I just cut out avocado toast, would I be able to afford a house?
No.
Well, you're crushing my dreams, and you're telling me that the government's taking over my life.
How many days a week do you eat avocado toast?
Never.
Okay.
Well, okay, so like once or twice a month, probably at max.
And avocado toast, an avocado runs you about $4 right now. They're a little on the expensive side now. And if you want to get good toast, it runs like a quarter a slice. It's not that expensive, even for good bread.
Yeah.
Like, it's not bad. If you want to do a nice sourdough loaf or something like that, if you want to make it yourself and stuff like that, you can average it out. You can average it out a couple of different ways.
Okay.
But let's say that's like $10, $10 a week. Assuming a couple of different things, assuming as expensive as you can get it. So that's $520 a year. Can you buy a house for $520?
No.
You can't even
Hold on.
You can't even make a fucking house payment on $520.
I can't even make a single rent payment.
No. I live in Alabama, and I would struggle to find a place I could pay rent on that would be fun. And no.
If I had 3 roommates.
Yeah.
Maybe like best case scenario, 1 or 2 roommates.
1 or 2 roommates.
Possibly, depending on if it's a small space.
Honestly, in Alabama, I could make that do with 1.
Yeah, in Phoenix, no. I had 2 roommates last year. We had a 3-bedroom house. It was about $600 a month with 2 roommates. So
yeah,
and it wasn't a huge house.
But that's tough in its own right, and it makes work tougher. Which is another problem, because even if you go to a rural area like Alabama to be able to get some more quote unquote affordable housing, where are you going to go work? The economy in Alabama is shit. It is a third world fucking country.
If you could just pull up your bootstraps and go to medical school and take out $400,000 worth of debt, even though you probably won't get approved for it.
Here's what gets me. It is physically impossible to pull yourself up with your bootstraps. That is the point of that phrase.
Yeah.
It is a tongue-in-cheek insult to the people who think that way. And should be, and should continue to be. It is an insult to overprivileged idiots.
Mm-hmm. Like Dr. Oz.
Yes, and I'll go ahead and say it.
Yeah.
Oz is an idiot.
Yeah.
Might be a brilliant surgeon, but he doesn't stay in his lane often enough to be smart.
True.
So this line right here, did we already read it? Whether it's modernizing healthcare so it's more affordable and accessible?
We haven't, but also I think we missed some of this paragraph too, which we got to read. The easier we make it to get a job means that fewer people are dependent on government. Telling people to seek the bare minimum rather than greatness leads to an ever-growing chasm between those left behind and the elites who are all too happy to tell you how to live your life.
He's literally telling you how to live your life right now.
Yeah.
Like, he is literally doing that. And the irony of it does not strike him at all. It is ridiculous. It is fucking ridiculous. And Maya is entirely
Maya is right.
Right. And again, Cody Johnston's video on the history of work, watch it. It is glorious. If you're not radicalized yet, it will radicalize you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this was funny. It's not funny. We had a med student at my med school who graduated a couple of years ago, and people listened to him because he was good looking. Not surprised by, but like the things I heard come out of this person's mouth, and he's an ENT resident now, which
that's
says
scary.
a lot about his. But
that's
definitely
ear, nose, throat.
Yeah. Surgeon.
So that's scary.
Yeah, so it's scary because just the disconnect. Like if you are in medical school, like doesn't quite matter how you got there. Like if you had the resources to get to this place, you are privileged. There is privilege in being able to get the resources to do such a long and expensive program.
You can't do it without assistance.
You can't. Like there is something that helped you get there. And not saying that people don't work hard for it, but there is some privilege there. Not everybody has the ability to go.
I worked hard to get my master's, but it doesn't change the fact that I was able to do it because I had support from people in my life. Like I needed that to be able to do it.
Yeah. And so this person was basically telling us to eventually price gouge people because the specific example was if you are a pediatrician and you don't make that much money, you should like do procedures because they bill more. Like, okay, the disconnect here is sad because sure, a pediatrician compared to other doctors don't make that much, but they're still making a hell of a lot of money being a doctor at all. And the fact that you are willing to price gouge somebody who might not even have the money to come see you for one visit, that they got scared enough, like something worried them enough to pull scraps together for a copay to come see you. And you're going to price gouge them because you think that your $180,000 a year isn't enough. Like that is some privilege to think that that's nothing. Like you are making more than the majority of the people you're trying to help. Do not make this about you. And there's something to be said about like keeping a business afloat, but
there is an overhead that goes with any sort of medical office. There's a huge overhead even in the small practices. You need diagnostic equipment. You need regular consumables, depending on what you're doing. It all depends on your practice, but that stuff adds up. You have staff to pay. You have phones to keep on. You have lights to keep on. It does all add up, and it does end up being a pretty penny. But
but your patients don't get to make up the difference because you didn't make enough. Like you got to go back and think your business plan over because you shouldn't be needing to take more money than it's worth from your patients. Like you shouldn't be providing services that aren't necessary because you think it'll pay more, or billing things a certain way because it'll get paid for in a like you should be billing for what things are worth.
Can we address a little bit of hope there?
Yeah. Which one? That's the last one?
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't struggle with my anger anymore. I just let myself be angry about it because in fact, I fully believe it is immoral to vote for Dr. Oz. And whether that immorality is born of malice or ignorance, I don't care at this point.
We got a pun in the chat. I have staff, but I don't pay mine until I take antibiotics.
It was bound to happen at some point.
Keeping it lighthearted.
Trying to.
This is a grim.
Take a look at this.
Yeah.
So many people who receive benefits have jobs. there is this racist myth of the welfare queen that started in the Reagan era, and it has been persistent in right-wing politics ever since. But what they do is they create this sort of straw man of what it means to be on government assistance in your mind so that they can attack it. It's a shortcut to getting dumb people on their side. And I hate saying that because I am not making a moral judgment when I call people dumb.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. But the ever-growing chasm between those left behind and the elites, that pisses me off because that chasm started because of the Reagan administration. Conservatism is why we don't have a middle class. Trickle-down economic bullshit does not work and is destroying the middle class, or has destroyed the middle class, to be honest.
So, this next paragraph, whether it is modernizing healthcare so it's more affordable and accessible, fighting for more school choice for all Americans.
Oh, this one.
Protecting us by securing our borders and stopping illegal immigration.
Oh, it just never stops.
Telling the truth about corporate America, like how pharmaceutical companies charge too much for your prescription drugs.
Okay, that one makes me pissed off.
Or making sure people know the truth about COVID.
Oh, you motherfucker.
Dr. Oz is fundamentally promising to help relight the divine spark inside every American and empower us to live better lives.
So
let's take this sentence by sentence.
Okay, so the first one, modernizing healthcare so it's affordable and accessible.
Yeah.
I think we've tackled this a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. It's a binary. It's either affordable and accessible or it isn't. And what that binary means is different for every single fucking person. But to even have those words come out of your mouth and to be openly against anything that would make it actually more affordable and accessible pisses me off. And it is wrong, and it is immoral, and it is a dishonest tactic, and it's...
Yeah, if you're going to say that you want to make healthcare affordable and accessible, put your money where your mouth is. Because you could run on a platform that supports that, but you're not. You're running against that. Yeah, Dr. Oz represents everything I like to piss on. Yeah, pretty much.
If it weren't assault, I would just go ahead and do it to him.
So the next point, school choice.
So the school choice thing, my understanding of that is there is a huge push in America's Christian, quote unquote, Christian evangelical wings to make it so that the state would pay for their private education in their private schools. And I think that's what that's referencing to. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But throwing this out there, I don't think Christian schools should exist.
Oh, yeah.
At all.
No, they shouldn't.
I think they're immoral to have. I think they're used to perpetuate a system of abuse on children who parents hope to keep underneath their thumb their entire lives. I don't think there's a good reason to Christian school.
Right, and you can teach religion like as a separate subject, like in a public school. You can say here are the religions.
But they're scared of that because it's an analysis of religion that encourages thought. Not rote indoctrination where you're allowed to tell people that the earth is 6,000 years old. Or some shit.
Yeah, and it would be way better if we just, made these separate things and let people study religion as a whole.
Yes. Without favoritism towards Christianity.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, because, I'm not in favor of religions, but, like, I do think that we all deserve respect.
They're part of world history.
It's part of world history and diversity and cultural, cultural knowledge is important. Learning that you're not the only person that matters, and like you can respect other people and learn about their cultural background and not necessarily indoctrinate people. Like it's good to learn where people are coming from and their perspectives, whether or not I agree with it. Like, it's good to learn about religion.
And so much of our history, our important history, is religiously motivated. It's a lot.
Yeah. Securing our borders and stopping illegal.
So here's the thing about securing the borders. Like, do you know where the majority of terrorists have driven into America from?
Canada?
Yeah. It's fucking Canada. Nobody talks about securing the Canadian border.
Yeah. It's always, because
it's for obvious reasons. You want to take a guess on that one?
Racism. Whoa.
Yeah.
Hold on. America racist? What?
Yeah.
Isn't like our entire history?
Oh, our entire history has been racist. And that's what has the right wing in such a hissy fit right now, is us recognizing as a people the problems with our history, to look at it critically.
Yeah, so we got the illegal immigration thing, which, just racism, just flat out racism. Telling the truth about corporate America, like how pharmaceutical companies charge too much for prescription drugs. So the funny thing here is
the party that voted against capping insulin prices is going to talk about the cost of prescription drugs.
Yep. Also, Dr. Oz, the person with his own TV show where he sells stuff, he sells his books, he sells his supplements that aren't even demonstrated to work. Like, and he sells the stuff at incredibly high prices. Yeah. You're going to whine about pharmaceutical companies, which, there are plenty of problems with that, but you are part of it, buddy. You're part of it. You are part of
not just part of it, but the worst part of it.
Yeah.
He sells shit that doesn't work.
Yeah.
To people who are desperate and looking for any option.
Right.
And that's what these snake oil salesmen do. They target the most vulnerable people, the ones who are not in a position to think critically. And then they walk off with their wallets. They are marks.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, it's, it's just this guy, he is so privileged. He's making so much damn money off of at the expense of other people. And we've seen him do this for years. This isn't new. This is just a new angle that he's taking. He's just less obvious about it. He's not peddling the Reiki and like psychics and stuff anymore. But he's going to this because people are less likely to view this as a problem.
Yeah, and it is a huge problem for him to even be considered a serious candidate for senator. It says so much about where we are as a country, or this snake oil salesman. And I'm not saying America has a perfect history. I'm not saying it even remotely. This is honestly probably not even our worst chapter.
Oh, no.
Like, we talk about Donald Trump, but, we had Andrew Trail of Tears fucking Jackson at one point.
We did.
If you ever find yourself saying that Trump is the worst president we ever
had. Oh, yeah. We've had a lot of awful people.
Oh, George Washington literally led a war against War of Independence veterans. Whiskey Rebellion. Take a look at that sometime.
Yeah.
And we don't talk about that. We don't talk about our societal ills. We don't talk about the, quite frankly, evil things our leaders have done.
No, and the Whiskey Rebellion was taught in my history class in high school. Like, it was taught as a good thing that he did.
It's like veterans were overcharged in taxes and wanted to do something about it. They were fucking murdered.
Yeah.
Like, how do you put a good spin on that?
I mean, I've stopped asking at this point because I'm too depressed by the answer.
Because the only correct violence is state-sanctioned violence.
Yep. But we don't want big government because big government will tell you that that you need healthcare.
That you need healthcare because they're elites.
Yeah.
They'll tell you that you need your insulin to be at a reasonable price because they're elites. They're elites and they don't understand your needs for an all water diet for a few weeks or some shit. Nobody's peddling now. Don't do that, please.
So, and then the truth about COVID. Dr. Oz had some bad ideas about COVID. I think his website is better now. I'm guessing he got in some trouble. That was
we might want to take a look at that.
Yeah, because I think we're gonna go to his show page at some point because he has a whole thing about COVID now, and the way it's worded, it's very vague now.
Well, it's that whistling thing.
Yeah.
You know, he's wanting to still play to the people who believed in the first round where he's talked about it, but without getting in trouble with people. And honestly, we need bigger crackdowns on this sort of whistling. We need to publicly recognize it for what it is. And he needs to face criminal charges.
Oh, he should.
And I don't think he should be a doctor.
Oh, he shouldn't. I'm surprised he still has his license, in all honesty.
We'll go ahead and say it. Dr. Oz needs to be canceled.
Yeah, we can cancel him.
Cancel him straight into poverty.
What do you think about the divine spark? Do we have a divine spark?
No, we never did.
I agree.
We have never had a divine spark. And there was something very beautiful said by Terry Pratchett. I would much rather be a rising fallen angel.
Yeah, definitely.
Fuck being God's failed creation and just everything to improving ourselves.
So we got his platform here. More detail. Get tough on. Oh my god.
That's a dog whistle
shit. Oh no.
Small business.
Oh no.
There is so much in here.
See, I had so many options for things we could go look at.
Secure elections.
But I think we can even fill an entire episode with just his campaign platform.
2020 was the most secure election we have ever had.
Yeah. I want to look at, since we mentioned it, I want to see his COVID-19 response.
Okay.
I love that these are short paragraphs, though. Dr. Oz is a world-class heart surgeon who holds numerous patents and has written hundreds of original peer-reviewed publications. It's just repeating things. Yeah. He knows the truth, the data, and the science about combating COVID. No, how would a heart surgeon be an expert on this? And understands how it really affects you. No, he doesn't. He's rich as fuck. Like, he has access to whatever healthcare he wants.
Yeah. I mean,
he hasn't had to quit his job.
It was mentioned during the commencement ceremony we were talking about earlier, with Black families being up to twice as likely to die from COVID.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't know shit.
It's like, what was one of the biggest comorbidities for having COVID complications? Poverty.
So no, we experienced a very, very different.
Oh, definitely. He experienced some inconvenience, and I'm sure, like, a lot of his work probably wasn't even happening around then because elective surgeries were canceled for most places. So sure, he might have had some emergency stuff, but I wonder how much. Honestly wonder too how much emergency heart surgery he does, or if he is only because my general surgery attending pretty much only did elective procedures.
I mean, if you think about it, maybe he had to make sacrifices during COVID. Maybe he had to cancel his third vacation to France.
Yeah. But like, just because you're a heart surgeon doesn't mean that you are doing emergency procedures. Once you're this far out from your residency, you kind of get to choose what your business model is, especially I'm assuming Dr. Oz's private practice, knowing he knows business, and he's doing very successfully. Like or if not, he might be an independent contractor with a hospital, but like, that doesn't mean you're doing emergency surgery, especially if you're having a show and you're writing books and stuff. He might just be doing elective procedures where he has a set schedule and he fills his schedule and then doesn't go beyond his schedule. Like, okay, maybe some procedures go late or like something, but he's not going to be the one who's on call like every 3 or 4 days. Like, he's in a really good spot. And I highly doubt he's doing emergency surgery.
So, while elites with yards tell those without yards to stay inside.
Yeah. Him.
where the virus was waiting. I'm just wondering if he's like picturing the virus as some sort of little cartoon style, bandit from the Old West.
It's funny how he talks about the elites as if it's not him.
He is the elite.
Like, this is you, bud. This is you.
Bud. And yeah, you didn't tell people without yards to say inside, is my understanding. But
but he's one of the good elites.
He's one of
the good ones. He's fighting for the people.
And maybe if you want people to have yards and stuff like that and have places they can be, maybe you should be arguing against the wealth disparity in this country,
right?
Because the wealth disparity is why those people did not have yards.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that hard to think. Dr. Oz has been putting his expertise to work. No, he has not. He has never done anything for the behalf of another person. I'm going to go ahead and say it.
Dr. Oz is opposed to prolonged business shutdowns, and he believes it is critical to keep our children in school because the science overwhelmingly supports.
You know what the science overwhelmingly supports? Not ending up dead.
Not ending up dead and not letting your children end up dead.
What's bad for your grades?
Being dead?
Being dead.
Yeah.
You know what's really bad for your grades? Being out for a month because of COVID.
Yeah.
Like not being able to do shit. And then being dead.
Yeah, the science does not support this. In fact, the funny thing too is with Dr. Oz, like he will brag about his numerous publications, and then he says these claims and that does not provide sources. You'd think if you're going to make the sources a part of your credibility, that you would actually, drop some links to some sources.
This out there, I don't think his peer-reviewed publications are relevant to COVID.
Oh, I doubt it.
Just as a possibility there,
Like, and even if they're within medicine, like they're probably within his field of expertise.
Yeah.
That would be my guess. And not related to this or related to anything that he sells, because you know what else? Dr. Oz is not a dietitian either. He shouldn't be selling the supplements. Like, he's not working with people on nutrition. He's a heart surgeon.
Okay, so Negaverse Norman Osborn, please shut the fuck up.
Yes. Well, it's just something else.
Goblin ass.
Yeah.
What a horrible human being.
Yeah.
Just what a terrible person.
And is that his son in the white coat?
On the left, on the response to COVID-19?
Yeah.
Possibly, but I don't know what relevance his son would have to COVID-19.
I don't know. I'm just communicating the fact that this generational thing, like he isn't a family of doctors. Like his father was a doctor. His son is a doctor.
How are you going to claim not to be an elite when you come from generations of doctors?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
I don't know. What other? I mean, Phil's healthcare is along.
What the greatest indicator of potential success in an early age is?
Money.
Having rich parents. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is the single greatest predictor of doing well in the world.
The Second Amendment, law enforcement. Yeah, do you want to, which one do you want to talk about?
I'm going to hate it, but either secure elections or free speech.
Okay, I mean, we can probably go through all of them. It's like 2 sentences. Dr. Oz supports voter ID laws that ensure safe and secure elections. He will reject efforts by liberals to have the federal government take control of our elections away from the states.
So when they say this, what they really mean is they want white people.
Yep.
And you can't tell this on a surface level just by looking at what they say, because it's a lot more nefarious than that. I mean, I know we've talked a lot in the past. I think you and I have talked about it. The voter ID laws are used with conjunction with making it harder for Black people to get an ID of any kind.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to affect pretty much all people of color and people on reservations. It's going to impact significantly.
Oh, you remember when? Was it Arizona actually that did it? Was trying to make it so that you had to have an address in order to vote.
Oh, yeah, probably.
When many people on reservations will not be given an address by the Postal Service.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot going on. And
so what they really say when they say we want secure elections, what they really mean is we want white people to vote.
Yep. White people with money to vote.
Yeah. the right kind of
like even because even the barriers to people being able to get an ID like is a problem. If you have to work your job, that's your only source of income, and the office is only open during weekdays from 8 to 4. Like, can you afford to take the time off to go?
You know what would make elections better? Making election days a federal holiday.
Yeah.
Run on that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There are a lot of things that he could run on, but he's choosing not to because he knows his audience.
Well, it's not about creating change. It's about keeping the status quo. That's what he wants. It's about maintaining, quite frankly, white power.
Pushing back on cancel culture.
Are we watching this video?
Do you want to watch the video?
How long is it?
I don't know. It doesn't say here. We'd have to. I'm gonna mute us.
We'll see.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute us though because we're not on headphones, so you won't be able to hear us during the video. But I'll unmute. We can unmute if.
Yeah.
We want to say
something. Yes, I worked. You've seen ads lying about me. Yes, I worked in TV, which taught me how to fight the woke media. I took on pharma and Facebook.
Wow. Also, look at the suggested videos.
Oh fuck. Oh fuck.
Yeah, but now he's getting to Fauci. Oh my god.
Oh. For the record, he never took on Fauci. He doesn't have the balls.
Yeah, oh my god. We're only like 2 seconds in.
If he wants to do something that would cost him his medical license, it's taking on Fauci.
Yeah, ooh, what a badass.
A little ass rich boy.
I'm curious. This is only 30 seconds.
And Fauci to protect you. You know who else learned in Hollywood? The 2 greatest presidents in modern history.
Oh, dear fucking God. So I'm going to go ahead and say it. Everyone out there, and I'm going to go ahead and say student Dr. Ben will endorse this. Ronald Reagan's grave is a gender-neutral bathroom.
I don't know if I shared the audio on this. I need to make sure that, hold on. I'm going to reshare that just to make sure that you all can hear it because...
that's amazing. That is amazing.
My goodness.
It's short. Should we just go ahead and let it run the entire way through? It's like 30 seconds. I'm going to struggle to keep quiet during it, but I think we should just let it run.
I'm going to go back to the beginning and make sure the audience can hear what was said.
But to mute us.
Yeah.
You've seen ads lying about me. Yes, I worked in TV, which taught me how to fight the woke media. I took on pharma and Facebook.
Pausing just for copyright, so we don't get sniped.
Because, the incredibly liberal Facebook.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Fauci to protect you. You know who else learned in Hollywood? The 2 greatest presidents in modern history. Like me, they were conservative outsiders who fought the establishment.
They are the fucking establishment. They are as establishment as it gets. They are rich white people who came from rich white people. They are the establishment.
Yeah.
When people talk about fighting the man, that's them.
You are literally voting for the man when you vote for these people.
Ronald Reagan was the man who did this racist overreach with the war on drugs and shit is the establishment.
Yeah.
And to call Ronald Reagan traditionally conservative is an insult to the term, which the entire right wing is.
And I mean, in all fairness, I'm not saying that we've had a whole lot of, good presidents.
We haven't.
But if I had to pick any 2 that were the best, it's not those 2. I don't quite know who I would pick, but it's not those 2.
Maybe Teddy Roosevelt.
I have to think about. I think about my choices hard, but it's definitely. I think those 2 are near the bottom. Not quite the bottom necessarily, but very close to on the at least in the lower 50th.
We literally have Andrew Trail of Tears Jackson. The man who literally committed a genocide.
Yeah, but I mean, they're still in the lower half.
Think about it. Ronald Reagan kind of went for a genocide with his handling of the AIDS crisis. That was evil. That was evil, and the man laughed about it.
But good platform, yeah.
Platform those two dipshits, the dumbest presidents in history. I'll go ahead and say that.
Now, this scares people from the Wall Street, Washington revolving door, like Dave McCormick. People who don't share our values. Don't be scammed by the swamp. I'm Dr. Oz, and I approve this message.
They are not the swamp. They are federally protected wetlands.
Wow.
Boy. Okay, I like little bits of Hope's comment there. The only president lower was the president of the Confederacy.
Oh, yeah.
And Reaganomics is, in fact, why we are in this mess. It's what created the wealth disparity in this country. And like crippling union infrastructure and things like that. That's why we're in this mess.
I love that one of the suggested videos is Idaho squirrel attacks burglar.
Yeah. Oh, is that the crying guy on the side of the road?
Yeah, classic TV commercials from the 60s and 70s.
You know that guy was Italian, right?
No.
Yeah, the actor is Italian. I kind of uncomfortable with that.
I'm just gonna take a quick second to admire the YouTube suggestions for me. Because on the one hand, we have some things that sure, yeah. Like all the atheist videos would probably be recommended for me. And then we have Idaho squirrel attacks a burglar. I was like, all right, fair enough.
Good job, Idaho squirrel.
I mean, sure. Maybe I'll go watch.
Get him in the potatoes.
What else we got? Education. I want to see.
God.
Ooh. Okay.
God.
Okay. Dr. Oz believes that a good education is fundamental to a better future, but he believes we need to fundamentally change the way we approach education in this country. Well, I mean, so do I, but not in the same way.
I agree with the statement, but not him.
Yeah. By incorporating financial literacy from an early age. Okay, but not in the way that he wants it.
Yeah. So here's the things. If you actually got people financially literate, they would be radicalized. Heavily radicalized.
Yeah, focusing on empowering students to make their own career choices and stopping wealthy universities from raising tuition every year while sitting on millions of dollars in tax-protected endowments.
I'm going to agree with that last bit.
I'm going to agree with that, but also
with a word of caution because it's hard to tell exactly what he means by
that. Yeah, and
Dr. Oz also believes that the extreme left wants to use our schools to indoctrinate ideology, and it is Senator Hellfight to block that. So the subject matters covered by schools, I generally don't object to, especially higher education. Like that is evidence-based education. But you get somewhere like Liberty University, aka Lynchburg Baptist University. They're sort of bent when they came out in the 1970s.
Yeah. Yeah, and he wants spirituality to be something that's just like in every household.
Yeah. Never mind. And oh dear.
But yeah, I do think that education needs to change.
It needs to fundamentally improve. For one thing, it needs to be covered by taxpayer dollars.
Yes. We need to pay for education, and we also need to teach history.
So a little bit of hope pointed something out. Liberty being regionally accredited. Liberty is regionally accredited because the standards for it are. I'm just going to throw that out there. Back in the Obama era, when there was a crackdown on diploma mills and things like that, Liberty University got a free pass because they were a nonprofit.
Oh no.
Yeah, but not so nonprofit that Jerry Falwell didn't have.
Yeah, if you want to hear something scary, Liberty University has a medical school, and that terrifies the shit out of me. And actually, somebody I know,
young Earth creationist,
somebody I know graduated from there last year, and this is somebody from my weird college youth group that I cringe about to this day.
Oh god.
Yeah, that's scary. That's really scary. can probably do a few more of these, and then we'll call it for the episode.
The veterans.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
this was
because I am a veteran, and I will tell you, I don't feel supported by the right wing.
Yeah. Dr. Oz trained at the Philadelphia VA hospital and worked with veterans. He has seen firsthand the sacrifice made by our men and women in uniform.
Okay, backing up on that.
Nope.
No, he has not.
Were you with him?
He has not. You were not with him. I have had friends who spent years and up to a decade in a wheelchair because of what they lost. You didn't see it. I didn't see it. Like my friend I'm talking about was in Afghanistan. He showed me a video of it happening. Yeah. A Humvee being blown up by an improvised explosive device. And I promise you, Dr. Oz didn't see it.
Yeah.
You can see the end results of the sacrifices, quote unquote, sacrifices made. But here's the thing. We should not have been there in the first place. Okay, he supported leaving Afghanistan. And he strongly opposed the way President Biden surrendered to the Taliban. You know what? Not even going to fault him for that one. I'm sure there are details I would disagree with him on if he didn't have literally 2 fucking sentences on veterans. Like, you don't support veterans by acknowledging how much shit they went through. You support veterans by encouraging better health care. You support veterans by encouraging a stronger VA. Like, that's how you support veterans. The right wing has this empty rhetoric, this lip service that they pay to veterans and soldiers and sailors. And it is so empty and devoid of anything meaningful. And you can see that right there. He has literally 2 sentences blaming it on somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention, even like going back to, guess what? Poverty. What's one of the biggest factors for people to join the military at all? Poverty. Like, there's a lot here, and probably one of the best ways to help veterans is to, fix the damn system.
Yes. That is what would help us. Just give us something. I told you about my struggles with the VA, trying to get mental health care when I was at my worst. And it was such a bad experience that it sent me spiraling. Like, I lost a couple years of my life from the depressive episode that resulted from attempting to get care at a VA hospital. And that's wrong. I hate it for me, and I hate it for other people. And so many people go to the VA for care, and quite frankly, they're not treated like people there.
No.
It's so common to just treat people who are suffering as if they're malingerers.
Yeah.
Universal health care for all.
That would help.
That's the best solution to that.
Probably do one more of these and then we'll wrap it up. Because this was a heavier episode than I think I was planning on.
I'm going to need some sunshine.
So we can do a whole other episode on Dr. Oz's weirdness, but I thought this was maybe a better take on this since we already know that Dr. Oz says bad things.
The world knows Dr. Oz.
But this stuff is
healthcare.
Yeah, this stuff is stuff that people would see as benign. People would see this as serious input from this man, and this is the stuff that needs to be talked about right now. And especially this is the stuff that he is making decisions on, and he's getting money for. People are giving him money for this stuff.
So, reading in advance, I'm going to go ahead and say that his weird stuff is actually, because at first it seems innocuous to read it. But as a doctor, Oz has seen the inside of the massive healthcare industrial complex and knows how they work with lobbyists and powerful special interests to protect. That's every industry in this country.
Yeah,
that is every industry in this country. Corporations shouldn't be able to have lobbyists.
Yeah.
But he's bravely. No, he hasn't bravely argued against cost. He has, as a snake oil salesman, argued that you should buy his costly, not drugs, to solve your problems.
Yeah.
This isn't him going up against an establishment to defend you. This was him noticing a problem with the world and seeing a grift he could do. As a U.S. Senator, he'll work to dismantle policies that lead to more expensive prescription drugs for our seniors. So when the right wing says stuff like that, what they're typically talking about is getting rid of quality control measures that add to the overall price of drugs, but also keep you from dying.
Yeah, no, those are important. Those are important.
And he'll expand access to private sector plans. That's not a solution.
How would you expand access to the private sector plans? Like, that's the whole point.
Expanded by President Trump and beloved by seniors for their low cost and high quality. Debatable, highly debatable.
Yeah.
That could be available to all Americans.
Who want them or who can afford them.
This is him arguing to protect the healthcare industrial complex in the same breath that he talks about, seeing the inside of the massive healthcare industrial.
Yeah, it's like I saw the inside of it and I said I wanted a part of this.
It's like, oh yeah, I don't want you to give them your money. I want you to give me your money.
Yeah, your money's just going to the wrong person. That's
like the problem is not what you're paying. The problem is you're not paying it to me.
Yep.
Dr. Oz.
That's I think we're gonna
No, I think that's it.
That's gonna be the last point for today. Oh man. All right. So let's debrief from that nonsense.
Dr. Oz, terrible person.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible doctor, quite frankly, because he's out of his line.
Should we vote for him?
Yeah.
Should people in Pennsylvania vote for him?
Who's the other option?
I don't know.
Who's the other guy? Vote for that person.
Yeah. So what steps can people take in Pennsylvania? What should people do who have the ability to vote on these issues? Because of course we're not in that state, so we can't.
I can't speak for.
I can't speak for them, but
I can't vote for Pennsylvania.
If anybody, I don't know if anyone here is from Pennsylvania.
Wick Jezik.
Are you in Pennsylvania?
Will not be voting for.
Will not be voting. Awesome. Well, I hope you and other people in Pennsylvania can help, and I don't know how the campaigns all work there and what's going on with that and who all is running. But hopefully at least we can get the word out to some other people from Pennsylvania and hopefully steer a few votes out.
Yeah. And, I've heard some more cynical members of the left say if voting worked, they wouldn't let you do it. Well, we're seeing evidence that they don't, in fact, want to let us do it. Like, they don't want the poor people voting. They don't want the liberal, quote unquote, getting out there. Like people in impoverished Black communities, those that have to ride public transportation and nearly die in the sacrifice to the service industry. Those are liberal elites.
Wow. Yeah. So if you're in Pennsylvania, go vote, because your vote matters, and they're trying to keep people's votes from not counting. So if you have the ability to vote, please.
Hey, with better voter turnout, we were able to get Georgia blue. I mean, that's a big deal.
That is awesome, Wick. I am so happy that you are part of that and that you're helping out people be able to exercise their right to vote. We can't forget how important this is. And even though we might not be having elections in every state right now, there are still things going on that we can talk about. And Dr. Oz should not have such a big platform as he does, but he does. So.
And maybe with some work on our part, this can be the last generation that has to deal with fascist government.
Yeah. Small changes. And here's I think this is the candidate running against Oz.
Ashley Husses. I'm not sure if that's how that's pronounced.
Yeah. Well, look into her. We'll see what her platform is. But that was a heavy topic today, and thanks for sticking around. It was something different than we usually do, but this is a very current issue.
Pour yourself some cold drink, get some sun.
Yeah.
Like, engage in some self-care, because we're probably going to.
That was heavy. We're gonna do something. We're gonna be super queer and watch a drag show later tonight. So
because we're liberal elites.
Because we're liberal elites and we go watch drag. Yes. But thank you all for joining us. Sorry it was a weird time this week, but I wanted to make sure that my friend could be here for this because I didn't want to overlap the graduation. That was important. Yes. You got to celebrate people in your community.
Graduated?
I think this person did.
Yeah.
We got to celebrate people in the community when they do something. So we're so happy for you, Johnathan.
Yeah, and maybe this time next year I'll be a student doctor.
Oh, hell yeah.
But not that kind of doctor.
Well, thanks for everyone for joining us. I think next week we'll be at the normal time. And then the week after that, we're going to have the 1-year anniversary of the channel. So we'll do a special open mic and some trivia and some other stuff. It'll be a longer kind of marathon stream. But Johnathan, you also have some things that you do on the internet.
Yeah, I am one of the DMs who works for Nat One Heroes, and could you put that in the thing right there?
Yeah,
Ben's gonna put it down. But Ben and I, since I am physically here in this location, we're talking about playing a different game this Sunday to sort of celebrate that. We're talking about doing Dread, which is a role-playing game that uses a Jenga tower instead of dice. And I think that could be an awful lot of fun. That'll be tomorrow we're still doing like 7 Central, you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, 7 Central. 7 Central.
Yeah, so come hang out for that. Trying to think if there are any other announcements. I put the link to Not One Heroes, the Twitch channel, in the chat. I'm also I need to put the links in the description, even though I know nobody reads the description.
I read the description.
You read it. I'll add that in afterwards.
But include like a passphrase for people to use.
Okay.
I was going to suggest one like live, but I realized that would
be. We'll talk about it.
Something besides rutabaga.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. It's been a fun time, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye.